Hey, Diana. Diana. Diana, where you at? Mel, where's Diana?
Mark, that's the dumbest thing you ever said.
I haven't even said anything yet.
Oh, I can read your mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, jurists and just curious, welcome to the Successful Barrister podcast. Here you'll learn about marketing, management, and life skills for lawyers that probably won't get you disbarred. Hosted by Mark Whitehead, a seasoned lawyer who remembers when fax machines were cutting edge, and Diana Berry, attorney, COO, and the brains behind the scenes. Together, they are the legal world's most dynamic duo since statutes met regulations. So if you're looking to build a practice, not a prison, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Successful Barrister, where legal legends are made.
And welcome to the Successful Barrister podcast, a podcast for lawyers about marketing, management, and life skills that probably won't get you disbarred. So today, my trusty sidekick, Diana Berry, is out on vacation. She's on the ocean, floating around somewhere, probably with a cocktail in hand. So for the very first time on the Successful Barrister podcast, I have a guest co-host. My paralegal of the last 30 years, which I've mentioned several times on this podcast, Melanie Donaldson, is here with us today. Hey, Mel, what's going on?
Hey, not much. What are you doing?
Well, so we thought about just not recording a podcast this week, and then I got the bright idea along with Mac. Okay, I'm getting the look from her like it was her idea. It was our idea. That since this summer will be our 30th anniversary together,
It will.
that we bring you on as guest host of this podcast.
Like a special guest?
Like a special guest.
I didn't get an invitation to the green room.
We don't have a green room.
Wow.
This is it. So you're stuck. So anyway, today we're going to have a podcast where we're going to talk about our 30-year journey together.
Okay.
What we have learned collectively. You can sit there and espouse how great I am and why you stayed here for 30 years, right?
Do I have to? I mean, is that the only thing that I can say?
I am going to pull my Donald Trump here, and I need to be praised.
Okay, I'll do my best.
For those of you just listening, you can't see the massive eye roll that I just got out of that. So
Here we go.
Here we go. So let's start about how we met some 30 years ago. Tell me what you remember about that day.
Well, I remember that it was kind of one of those that had to be moments. I went into an agency. I'd been home for 5 years. Went to an agency, took all the tests. Just about the time we were going to push the button, the electricity went out. Lost all the test results. I had to have somebody stay with me. I had to take the test again. We submitted the results again. And while we were waiting for those results to come in, your job came in. So I'm sitting at the lady's desk listening.
My job posting came.
Your job posting came in. And so I'm telling the lady, I can do that job based on what I'd done.
So you lied to her, basically.
I did.
Yes.
But I was convincing, and I actually had to bargain with her because I didn't have any experience in that. I'd been in oil and gas in a different lifetime. And so I said, just send me. And no, you don't have any experience. And finally I said, if I go there and embarrass you, I'll never come back. Just send me on that job. So she called. You said, fine. So they sent me, and they said, you have to go straight there. I was on one end of downtown. Your office was on the other. They said, okay.
Back in the Benz building
Back in the Benz building days. So they said, you got to go straight there. Don't get lunch. Don't do anything. Go straight there. Okay, I did. Get in the elevator, go to the bottom of the floor, bottom of the building, and the heavens opened up, and it rained like Noah's Ark was around the corner. So this is your favorite part of the story, so I'll let you tell this part of the story.
So my favorite part of the story is you showed up into my office just looking like a wet rat. I mean, you were soaked. Back then, you had longer curly hair.
It's very
and
curly.
It was just Yeah, you were
It
not.
was bad.
It was bad. And not only that, I can't remember why, but you had to wait.
You were on the phone. You made me wait for an hour.
You had to wait for an hour.
Dripping.
So you were basically making my reception area all wet and musty by waiting in there.
Well, that was really nice.
like a wet rat.
Like a wet rat. Yeah. Wet
So then I
drippings
finally
everywhere.
saw you after about an hour making you wait. Can't even remember how the interview goes, but here's what I do remember. I remember I offered you the job and told you the salary, and you were the first person, and of course, admittedly, 30 years ago, you were like probably only the third person I'd ever hired. You rejected my salary offer and said it wasn't enough.
And was I right?
I was shocked that you said no to me.
Was I right?
I'm still debating this in my own head. I can't believe I lost that negotiation, but I did. I lost that negotiation.
See, I trained you. I trained you to be a good negotiator.
All right. So 30 years ago, what was the firm like 30 years ago?
You know, in preparation for this, when Mac and Pepper came to me and asked me if I would do it, I started thinking about it. You know, we'd paper files back then. We didn't even have computer case management software. Everything was paper. We had paper calendars. We had a calendar on the wall, like a whiteboard that kept track of everything. We didn't, I look back now and everything's at our fingertips. And I just wonder, how did we do it? We had a real, we were doing PI back in the day. So we had a real trial docket at the time. How did we keep track of all that stuff?
I think, sadly, sometimes we didn't.
We may not have. But, we had a lot of cases back then. Even back then we did. And I think about, how did we keep up? And we weren't just in Houston. You were in Galveston. You were in Fort Bend County. We were everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how we did it. See, I deserved that higher salary.
Well, okay, I'll submit. Okay, you probably so. So can you imagine 30 years ago that 30 years we'd still be together?
Oh.
What? Because I don't even think you liked me when I first hired you, honestly.
Well, I did, but it took the extra money for me to like you.
Okay, all right. So I bought your love.
You did.
Okay. Well, with that intro, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little about the growth of the firm, the changes in the law over the last 30 years, and what lessons we have learned that hopefully we can impart to our listeners.
Deal.
This podcast is sponsored by Mark Whitehead & Associates, a national disability benefits law firm. Mark Whitehead runs a firm of over 60 dedicated people whose mission is to make a difference in the lives of our injured and disabled clients. Mark represents disabled claimants in Social Security disability, private disability insurance, and veterans disability claims in all 50 states. Mark Whitehead is double board certified in both Social Security disability law and personal injury trial law. Mark has litigated disability cases in over 40 states and counting, and can help your clients too. Stop throwing your phone calls away. Call Mark Whitehead at 701-VIP-LEAD. That's 701-VIP-LEAD. Or visit our website at disabilitydenials.com. Referral fees are paid in all jurisdictions where it is permitted. Refer us your disability cases today and know that your clients will be in good hands.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about growth, change, lessons learned here. All right, so in your view, how have the roles and responsibilities, both you and me, how have they evolved over time?
Well, as far as you're concerned, the firm has grown. You've added a lot more attorneys, so you have more of a management role. You basically steer the ship, decide what sort of law we're going to practice, how we can evolve that way, more so than handling the individual cases. You guide the attorneys and drive the ship. As far as mine roles, I basically handle the cases that you bring in. We had some changes to the department recently, and I have more financial responsibilities than I used to, but I think that is due to the growth. We have more responsibilities there. We have more to keep track of, and contract end dates that we have to watch, and that sort of thing. So
I go back to the days when we were doing jury trials together, and
oh yeah,
to the best of my knowledge, I don't think I've ever tried a case where you weren't sitting there with me. Mm-mm. I can't remember one. I mean, I've even lost track of how many cases we tried. Yeah. Maybe close to 50, somewhere in that name.
Probably.
I used to have a list, and I don't know what happened to the list.
But I think
But you were there every time,
Yeah, and I think that made me a better assistant to you, because I remember one time you went to a trial and you were co-chairing with somebody else. And in that one, I probably didn't go. But I organized things the way I thought they needed to be, packed your boxes, sent you off, and then you couldn't find anything. Because in my mind, it was organized, but that wasn't the way it functioned. And then when I went with you and saw the way it really functioned, it was far different than it was in my mind. So I think that made me better able to help you, was by going with you to see how it went.
So the main thing that you were most useful to me was picking a jury. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they bring in a panel of 60 mm-hmm. people. That's a lot of people to keep track of in your head. So you get a chart, you get a seating chart, mm-hmm. And for me as an attorney, when I'm up there asking questions of 60 people, and I probably only have 30 minutes to an hour to do it, so that's not a lot of time per person, and you just got to go bang, bang, bang right down the row, and I can't sit there and take notes that fast. I'm just not that good. And to have you there, sitting there taking notes and giving your opinion, which generally I have always given you all due credit for this, your opinion about people and your instincts about people have always been better than mine.
Thank you.
And you would say, don't let that person on your jury.
Well, I could watch the eye rolling.
Yeah,
you
can see all of that. So you were like, don't pick that one. Don't let that. This is a good one, and that was invaluable. The other thing, in your ability to judge people, and this is where I've made many mistakes along the road, is you would tell me, don't take this client or get rid of this client. This client is not a client that we want to keep. And I'm like, no, we can handle this. We can handle the client. I know they're kind of a problem, but we can make some money on this case. And invariably at the end of it, I always I should have listened to Mel. I shouldn't have taken that case. There's just probably dozens and dozens of times.
We're a team. We're a good team.
Where I've seen that. And that is one thing I've told people now. I coach a lot of young lawyers, and it's like, if your staff tells you not to take a client, listen to your staff, because they're seeing things that you don't see. The client will be nice to you, but they'll be a total butthole. Can we say butthole on a podcast? They'll be a total butthole to your staff.
Oh, yeah.
And eventually that'll come back on you. So that's one of the hard lessons that I learned over time. Trust Mel's instinct when it comes to people and to juries. All right, so what have you seen as some of the biggest challenges over time that we've had to adapt to?
I noticed, like when COVID happened, you're always kind of out in the forefront and you see things happening. I'm always in the weeds, boots on the ground, that sort of thing. But you are the visionary, and you do see things coming long before I do. Like when we decided to go paperless, I thought, what the hell is he doing? Why is that necessary? Because, you came in, okay, we're going to go paperless. That meant all the stuff, all the files had to be scanned in and organized and all that stuff. And it was a project that took away from our regular work. But when COVID happened, it was invaluable. All the stuff was on the cloud. It was available to us. And it took about 10 days for the staff to figure out where everything was and all. But it was invaluable. We actually grew during the time of COVID, where most people didn't, and a lot of them went out of business. We actually grew.
I always said, where there's chaos, there's opportunity. And I will say that we were well positioned to take advantage of the chaos that COVID brought upon the legal industry.
But that was you. That
We were one of the few
Yep.
people. We were hiring during COVID.
Oh yeah.
And not only, and it was a great time to hire because everybody was being laid off. So there was all of this talent out there that we could bring into the firm. And there were cases still coming in. No problem. I mean, actually, I think we probably signed up as many cases that year as ever because when the economy is bad, business goes up. That's one of the things about the legal industry that people I don't think about enough is we're sort of counter-cyclical. When the economy goes down, our business goes up.
Right.
And the obviously economy crashed. But I think you're right. I think we were well positioned for that. And I didn't know COVID was coming. I just knew that we just needed to get more technologically savvy. So,
And it didn't take that long. Everybody kind of had to go home and assess what they needed, software, hardware wise, and get that ordered and shipped to their homes and get it set up. And we were rolling, and it didn't take long to get it set up and intake. All the stuff they do is on the cloud anyway. So
I think the one
job.
challenge that we had there was we were switching our operating system over to Litify.
yes.
We were scheduled to switch over April of 2020. That was they were going to come in. They had the team. They were flying in. They were going to spend the week with us. It was going to be a 2-week transition. Of course, March, exactly 1 month prior to the scheduled switch, is when COVID really hit the fan and everything started shutting down. So all of a sudden, our implementation went from a live implementation, an in-person implementation, to a virtual implementation, which we struggled with, although I think we did well.
I think so. It took a little time with all of the new hires because you weren't together to hire them or to train them face to face. It was a lot of virtual, but we did well.
Yeah, and we managed.
Yep.
All right, so tell me some of the memorable cases that we've had that have really stood on your head. And of course, don't name names.
No,
Fine,
I
confidentiality here,
won't. I
but-
won't. Well, I think about back in the PI days, the wreck that happened right out in front of the Sam Houston
Sam Houston statute in Huntsville, Texas.
Yeah, I think about that one. I think
That was an 18-wheeler case that we were involved with. We litigated that case, tried the case for 7 days, rested our case before the defense finally agreed to pay our number.
right.
So that was an interesting case.
It was.
So you think about that because that was like one of the bigger cases. That was one of the more successful cases that we had.
Yeah.
I think about the disasters.
Oh.
So the one that stands out in my head, remember the case we were trying? It was one of the big box stores dropped a package on our client's head.
Fell over the top of the
So our client was on the stand. He did not speak English, so he was speaking through an interpreter. And what I needed him to do was say from the stand that the person sitting over at the defendant's table was the individual that dropped the box on his head. I needed him to say that. And of course, we're trying to get that out of him through an interpreter. And what he said made me want to crawl under the floor, under the table. He basically said, I don't know. He's black. And all black people look alike to me.
Oh.
Now, he said that from the stand. And I just wanted to crawl under the table. You
No
remember
rolling
that?
that back.
There was no rolling that back. We got a big goose egg on that case, as you might imagine. We lost that case, and that just goes to show you that when you're got live testimony on the stand, you just don't know what's going to come out of their mouth.
No amount of preparation's going to help.
Yeah, we were sunk. We were cooked like ducks. That we were done. Oh, I remember the case where I started calling my client the wrong name during the voir dire. Remember that?
I do.
Oh, he had a difficult name, and I flubbed the name and started calling him the wrong name. I was really young. I was a brand new attorney back then. I was nervous as hell. Probably one of the first or second cases I ever tried. And Did we get a verdict in that case?
I don't remember. I don't remember it that way.
I don't remember, honestly.
And the school bus driver, you were trying to get the school bus driver to say that they had gone off course. Do you remember that one?
Oh, you're going to have to remind me of that one.
Oh, and you were trying to get the guy to say, that he had stopped and used the phone, and she wasn't about that. She wasn't going to say that.
Yes, you just, I don't know. So the fun part is when you have live witnesses on the stand, you just never know what they're going to say. They could just say all kinds of dumb things.
Oh, and the deposition's gone wrong. You remember the one deposition that they were trying to show the lady the surveillance and see, you really don't use a walker and you don't do that. Well, funny, that's not even me. You remember that?
Oh, that's right. They built their whole case on that surveillance, and it turns out they had surveilled the neighbor. And not our client. That was actually one of the things
that was a funny one.
That worked out for us. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we don't get too far down memory lane here, because if there's one thing lawyers hate, it's war stories.
Not really. It's funny.
All right. So we've managed to maintain this, what I would say, a strong working relationship over 30 years. How do we do it?
First of all, I think we like each other. We get along. We like each other. Not that there haven't been brutal arguments at times.
How many times have I made you cry?
A couple of times, and I'm a pretty tough old broad, but you did. But I credit your wife. I love Tina. And there are times that you've kind of been what was the word that we said we could use? Butthole?
Butthole, yes.
Was that the word? And she's called me the next day and said, "Did he apologize?" So you must have gone home and told her what you did, because then she called me the next day, because I didn't tattle on you. And then she called me the next day and, "Did he apologize?" So anyway, but I think we like each other, but I also think that we have a lot of respect for each other and trust. So I think that makes a big difference.
It is. Trust is the key word. So can I tell the why I trust you story?
Sure, why not? You've told it to everybody else.
Told to everybody else. So you had worked less than 6 months.
Probably.
For me. And basically what you did is you somehow didn't pay a chiropractor on a letter of protection, and we dispersed all the funds to a client.
Yep.
So in other words, the only fix is I had to write a $3,000 check to the chiropractor out of my own money.
Yep.
And you came to me crying, realizing
I was embarrassed.
You realized you made a mistake. You told me what you had done, and you thought I was going to fire you. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to fire you, because number one, you owned up to your mistake, which means I can trust you. And number two, I knew you'd never make that mistake ever again.
Nope. Yeah.
And I use that example for all my new hires. Is I tell them, I said, it's okay to make mistakes. We expect you to make mistakes. But if you make a mistake, you need to tell us, because we can fix it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I've used you as an example for 30-some years, but that's the reason I trust you.
Well, and it came in handy, that trust came in handy, because when Emma was born, you were out for how long? And you came in...
Emma, my first daughter.
Yeah, first daughter was born premature, was in Dallas they were in Dallas to watch a baseball game, and things went bad. And so she was born in Dallas, but you were up there for how many weeks?
About a month.
And came home once, as I remember,
Yeah.
got some not so great news, and turned right back around. I don't even think you were in the office a day. And so you just told me, keep this place afloat while I'm gone. And, I just made decisions that had to be made, and took care of things while you were gone. And then you went on the cruise that time, got sick on the cruise. They picked you up in an ambulance when you docked, and took you off, and you were gone for a while. And you just said, "Don't let me be bankrupt when I come back." And, if you hadn't had that trust, those would have been more difficult times, I think.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back for our final section, we're going to talk about reflections and looking ahead. I'm Mark Whitehead, a lawyer, entrepreneur, and business coach. Thanks so much for tuning into the Successful Barrister podcast. We have a blast creating it, and I hope you find it helpful. If our chats have sparked your interest, I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me an email at mark@markwhitehead.com. That's Mark spelled with a C. And join the Successful Barrister newsletter. Even better, let's hop on a call. I'd love to chat about how we can collaborate, share ideas, or just catch up. All right, so this last segment we've titled Reflections and Looking Ahead. First thing that we wrote down here was, what lessons have we learned from working together for so long? So my first one would be kind of what we just alluded to the last time, is that to accept the fact that people are human and people have emotions. Sometimes they have bad days. Sometimes they make mistakes. Sometimes, they just need a little bit of extra support, and you need to give people a little extra grace.
Right.
That's one of the
that
things
word.
that I have learned over the last 30 years. I try to impart this to my lawyers a lot because they're all leading teams. And I explain to them, understand, you're a lawyer. You think like a lawyer. You're a lawyer 24/7, 365. But your staff is not. They are professionals, but they go home, they have lives, they have other things that are on their mind.
Right.
So you have to approach them and give them grace, because not everybody's going to be 100% every day.
That's right.
All right, your turn.
I would say probably, I don't know, over the years, I've had other employment opportunities. And, I think what I've learned is it's the devil you know.
I take it I'm the devil.
You're the devil. You always have been. But, you got to go someplace that you're happy, that you're comfortable, because you got to go there every day. And you got to do work that you're happy with, that you're proud of, because you spend more time doing that and there than you are at home with your family. So go someplace that you're happy to be there, with work that you're proud to do. And I'm particularly proud of the work that we do here because we help so many people. And, a lot of times we're their lifeline. They don't have family a lot of times that they can rely upon, or people that don't really relate to the problems that they have or what they're feeling, and we're their lifeline. So I am really proud that we get to do what we get to do and help that many people.
I always say we're the good guys.
We are.
Okay. All right, so what advice do you have for young professionals, and we'll say lawyers, young lawyers entering this industry? Because you've seen a lot.
Yeah. I, again, would say pick a place that you love. Again, you got to go there every day. And sometimes it's okay to drink on a decision. Just take a minute, go home, give yourself a little bit of time, and drink on a decision you got to think about.
And we all know your drink.
Yes, we do. Bourbon and Diet Coke.
Bourbon and Diet Coke. I can order from Mel any day.
That's
I know exactly what she's going to drink.
Never have to worry about it.
My advice to young professionals is, quite frankly, understand that you're in your younger years, in your 20s and 30s. That's the time where basically need to work your ass off and build your reputation. Okay.
But do something that you love.
Yes.
Because you're going to be doing it all that time.
Right.
So.
And then as you transition, into your 40s, that's when you really hit your stride. And that's when you really kind of have a sense of way things work. And that's when the work smarter, not harder really kicks in.
You perfect it.
And then by the time you get into your 50s, that's when you want to build, what I would call your lifestyle practice. You want to build at that point, you want to have your practice perfected to the point that your practice serves your life and your life does not serve your practice.
Right.
Okay. That would be my number one piece of advice, is to always work towards that goal. Just understand it's not going to start that way. It's going to start out pretty rough.
You think about how many times you stumbled trying to learn something, then you look back on it and think, damn, why didn't I see that coming?
I know. I look back and like, God, I was so stupid so many times.
We all do that no
You
matter
know,
what it is.
just-
Life or professional.
You didn't.
all
The
do
real
it.
problem is you didn't know what questions to ask. If you knew what questions to ask, you could have shortcut so many things. So practice asking questions.
And another thing too, we have some friends that have just come out of law school, and they're young attorneys, and they're trying really hard. And I keep saying, go find the oldest legal secretary or paralegal that has been around there the longest. Go find them and make friends, because they can help you out in so many ways. Do it and become their friend. Buy them coffee, take them donuts. They can save your butt in so many ways.
Okay, that is probably the best wisdom that we have come across this entire time that we've been talking. Find that person.
Yep.
Make an ally. Make an ally. All right, what's next for the firm? What's next for you? What's next for us?
Well, for me personally, it's to perfect this new department you've given me, getting it all straightened up, and maybe as I'm getting older, that filter that we're born with is thinning out.
I've noticed your filter is
It's thinning out.
yeah, we might have to buy you a new filter.
Well, I know you're not happy with my filter thinning. So maybe I'll become the new fruitcake lady.
Ooh.
You know the fruitcake lady that
Yeah.
was on Jay Leno? I think that would be a good thing for me.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think the next thing for both of us is finding that next generation and teaching them everything we know.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
think
what it
so
is.
too. And teaching them to take pride in what they do, because I think that's kind of lost. There's a lot of focus on finances and money and buying this and having the greatest bag or the coolest boots or whatever, when sometimes it's just about pride in what you do.
About helping people. I mean,
Exactly.
I always say, you know, our purpose, our stated purpose of this goal is to improve the lives of our disabled and injured clients. You know, and if you can't get behind that, you know, you probably shouldn't be here.
Right?
And quite frankly, I think that's why so many people that we have here stay as long as they do. Our average tenure here is pretty damn long compared to most firms, I think.
I think so too.
And I think it's because of the mission.
You have to find the little nuggets too. Like yesterday, I was dealing with this grumpy old man, and in the end, he said, "Thank you."
There you go.
That's right. Took my nugget.
All right. Any final thoughts on this journey?
Thanks. This has been fun.
All right. I'm going to say I appreciate you. I appreciate the 30 years that you've been with us.
Thank
And we're
you.
going to do this another 30 years.
We will.
So that'll put us 30 years from now will be 20.
I'll be 45.
Yeah, I'll be 50. That'll be 2055. Am I counting right? 2060. I can't even do math.
Me
All right.
neither. I
Well,
have a calculator.
here's the next 30 years. And with that, we're out of here. So I want to thank everybody for listening to the Successful Barrister podcast, where legal legends are made. I'm Mark, and you are.
Melanie.
And together, we're the dynamic duo of law. We hope Diana doesn't get too jealous of you taking over her spot this week.
Suck it, Diana.
Suck it, Diana. Remember to rate and review us wherever you get your podcast. And if you've enjoyed this, tell your friends. Visit us at successfulbarrister.com. And be sure to visit our sponsor, Mark Whitehead and Associates, a national disability law firm, at disabilitydenials.com. And with that, we're out of here.